Kia ora koutou, welcome to the first in a series of videos to help you set up your session file, and just a few suggestions about how you can work together as a group as well. So exploring how Pro Tools deals with selections and clip groups and things like that. So let's see what we can get to. I'm going to do it in 3 sections. I'm going to start with music, then I'm going to do dialogue, then I'm going to do effects. Dialogue and effects are quite similar, so I probably won't spend a lot of time on those, although they're a lot of work. And music is a little bit different because you're doing bigger blocks generally. And I guess you could say the same thing about atmos's and effects. So we'll see that when we get there. Cool, so I've got my session that I made previously, and that was where we had I put in markers or memory locations for all of the scenes, things like where the shark was, Battle 1, Battle 2, melee, shark injury, etc, etc. And I also went through and made lots of tracks. So I made a ton of effects tracks, a whole lot of dialogue tracks that I'm going to populate, and more useful right now, the music tracks. So I divided the music into 3 things. I had music tense, music action, and music aftermath. Tense and aftermath, I guess this is building up towards some action, and it will also include sort of downbeat breaks if I need them. The music action part will be sort of, driven by a drum beat when there's lots of action going on, and in this case there's going to be some music in the aftermath, so as it winds down, these are just basic ideas, so it's not necessarily going to be the same for your video, but you'll come up with some categories that you'll sort of either find production music or make music of your own. I'm not sure which way round I'm going to go yet. It depends on time, and since my clip's 2 minutes long and quite intense, I may use production music. But right now the idea is to just lay out the session, and for your production plan, having the session with blank clip groups in it is the goal, so that you can show that you're planning all of the bits of sound that you have to replace. So part 1, music. Now this could be one person in your group doing music while someone else is working on dialogue, and another couple of people are working on effects. You can share the load, and I'll show you how to bring it all back together. So you can all work on separate sessions, as long as you're communicating, like saying, hey, I'm going to do all the music right now, and then we'll put it into a master session, and that will be the final video, putting it all together. Let's get underway. So I've got my clip here, it's ready to go, and hopefully when I press play, it'll come in. So I'm not really worrying about cues. Say shift click and drag. I want to see the action moving, so I do want to keep my screen on. So first of all, build up music. It's pretty much to the first battle. So I'm just going to make a selection, and the mechanics of me making a selection, I just hit return so that the cursor jumps back to the start of the session. And if you hold down the shift key and click with the selector, as you drag, it'll show you where this end point of your selection is. So I can sort of drag it up to, let's say this is where the first zombie's emerging from the ground. That's probably around about where the music's going to change from building up as it plays through. So it's playing through here. The music builds up. Quiet, no drum beat. And maybe it'll start to be a little bit more, or build a little more as it comes up here. Especially the action scene. Yep. So I've made a selection, that's the main thing. The next thing I'm going to do is go clip, group. Now those of you who want to do this faster, remember these key commands. So we've got Option Command G. Option Command G turns a selection into a clip group. Or if you select a whole lot of clips, it'll turn them into a group of clips, which is kind of what it was made for. We've talked about it in class, but I'm just going to do that now. I'll do it with the mouse this time. Group. And you see it makes a thing that looks like a clip, but it actually occupies 0 data, or a very, very small amount of data, so it's not going to fill up your hard drive. And just like any clip, I can double click on it and I can name it. So in this one, I'm going to call it MX because it's in the music group, and build up, or I could call it tense if I wanted to. So MX build up, MX build up. So that's my atmospheric music leading into the action scene. So I can just hit the, if I've got a selection and I just hit the up cursor, it takes me to the end of the selection. So down goes to the start of the selection, up goes to the top. You can actually use this as you play along. So if you play from a point, up cursor, it makes a selection. So if you want to do this in real time, you can do that. Remember the tab key. I can go Option Tab to take me back to a clip, and I can actually use the P and colon keys to move selections or cursor up and down. So here I could go along, and my action scene is probably going to go along to around about where I get injured. That's where I might want to change the music. So now I don't have to watch through that. I can just go right click. I'm holding shift, and as I drag this along I can see the end. So action, 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 shoot, 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 explosion, explosion, explosion. Then the shark comes up again. That'll still be action music, probably some sort of loop. And then I get to here. Now when the screen goes red, it means I've been injured. So this is a good time to change the music. So this is where I might put a sort of downbeat music in. But for now, I'm going to use Option Command G, make my group, double click it, call it MX-action. Now at any time that I want to, if I think, oh, maybe I'll play this end and I want it to be different. It's pretty good to me where that's going to end. But let's just say I hadn't made it quite as far. I decided to stop here, where I first saw this red tinge. I can always
charge. Wiring another generator.
I can always change my clip once I've made it by dragging. Bang, bang, bang. There you go. I'm getting hit. That's where I'm getting hit by the by a zombie coming at me from the side. So I would probably want to change the music there. Just change it into either alarm or maybe a downbeat kind of thing. So let's just go from there. If I if I hit Option Tab, I go back to that. I might play through this so that I sort of see where I want the downbeat to stop. So right there where I clicked the up cursor and it made the selection, I can always just go Option Command G, make a group, double click on it with the grabber tool, call it MX downbeat. Maybe I want the music to be a bit slower, more atmospheric, because as you would have heard, there's a heartbeat effect going on there. There's a filter, so I'm going to make the music sound about well, it won't be as upbeat and action. It'll be more either downbeat or even just back to the sort of build up to getting healed there. So I've got that. That's good. I'm fairly happy with that so far. Back to action. So maybe just before, let's find that. That's the stabbing bit. If I shift click behind a selection, by the way, I can bring it up. And the one other thing you can do, remember you can go Shift Option Tab, and that's going to bounce all the way back to where your last clip was. So all of this was action, and I just think with the stabbing part, I might want to change the music a bit. Have a different action thing going on. I've just clicked on it and that was bad, so I've lost my selection, but remember you can go Option Command Z, which will give you restore last selection, and for those of you who like to look at menus, there it is there, restore last selection, and clip group. Boom. So this is going to be MX action, and it's probably just the same action loop, or maybe slightly different, more upbeat. But once we get here to the stabbing part, and actually it's kind of cool the way might actually write something or find some music that works with this. So maybe I'll do it from running up to stab. So you see I'm just using the trim tool here to figure out where I want the action music to stop. And I could do some sort of cool stop where maybe a tape wind down and it changes into a different piece of music here. Let's just option tab up to that, and stab, stab, stab. And here it runs backwards, so I could do a rewind effect. So I do something cool here. Let's just call this for now. I'll make a clip group, call it MX-Action2. Okay, and then when I get to the end of it, I think I rewind, so the character's running backwards. Just going to shift, drag, and rewind to here, and then it shoots a zombie, so the character shoots a zombie at this point. This would be where the music sort of comes back in, and it could be like a rewind, and then some sort of effect, and as the zombie explodes, it's the downbeat of the next, will be the downbeat on the next bit of action music. So I'll just make that a group. So this one, action 2, this one here, rewind, MX, yes, MX rewind, and then another piece of action music. There's a good place. That scope shot is probably, I'll just, where the scope actually arrives. That could be a good place for the music to go into the aftermath, because it's kind of winding down and being a sort of bit downbeat again there. So I will hit make a group and go MX action. Cool. And then the last section, pretty much, I'll just keep as downbeat. And obviously, if I'm composing it, I'll play around with it a bit more. So going through, I've got all the special effects and filtering and things going on there. So I will, and it fades to black, so I'll write a bit of music that fades out. So final, make a clip group, name it, and call it MX Aftermath. And there it is. There is my music laid out, all on different clip groups. I could probably, move some things like the downbeat up into here to keep things a little bit interesting, but that's pretty much all we need to know for now. So that's my music done, and the last thing I'll do, or maybe the first thing I should have done, is save this as, I'll call it DT Music Edit. And that will be useful. And so this would mean if I am making a master session, I can look for this session and import these tracks, the music tracks, and the group as well, all into a master session. So this is how you can work on things. So work on things individually. Think about it as a group, how you can make it work. And the next thing we'll do is the dialogue, and that's going to be more about frame accuracy. So if you want to know about that right now, head over to that video.